hanging out with John and Christy, and all of us are together, and it's pretty wonderful. We knew John was feeling better when John got up into the spruce to cut limbs. Although they looked clear of the barn, we found during the nights when there were high winds, we could hear them banging against the sides and roof. It was good preventive maintenance and definitely more peaceful. It had been almost 3 weeks since John and Christy last collected their mail in Uzinki, and now that they were feeling better, they launched the skiff. The next morning, we had our first activity in which we were all together, a trip across the strait to Uzinki. As we neared the village, we could see construction on the ferry dock, which is being extended to accommodate the Kennecott, a larger ferry than the current ferry, the Tustumena. Jean came to meet us, Christy picked up the mail, and as we were leaving the harbor, we enjoyed the sight of a float plane landing and running up to the harbor beach. A quick visit with the neighbor that is almost directly across the strait from Sailboat Cove, and then it was back home. This time of year, Christy is busy harvesting crops that are mature or that will be affected by the cold. When we first arrived, she was drying out the bed of garlic, and after her recovery, we got to help her harvest 4 different kinds of potatoes. The frost from earlier this week had damaged the tops, and on a sunny day, we dug through the alder mulched soil to find potatoes. Christy estimates we harvested about 50 pounds. Sunday dawned sunny and not too windy. It was the perfect time for us to begin one of the major projects, the ramp repair. Having spent the last 3 weeks walking up and down the ramp, which looked and felt fine to me, I really didn't understand why the ramp needed new lateral beams. I soon saw why.
Wow, look at that one. Yeah, that one didn't have much strength within it. More than one beam, huh?
Yeah. As Lee and John removed the planks and laid them out in order of removal. The original stringers were untreated spruce, and John estimates that they began deteriorating after 10 or 12 years. After one of the replacement creosote treated lateral beams was swung up onto the cross beams, we stopped work early to prepare for our celebratory dinner. During the course of our morning's work, Blondie, who had narrowly missed catching the woodshed squirrel on the ground, spent the time maintaining attentive vigil while the squirrel teased and tormented her.
That poor animal.
While Ika and I packed the salmon, Christy read Tatala, and later John introduced her to twirling.
Come on, let's do it. Ready?
and sliding,
Uncle John Horseshoe! Yay!
and everyone was in a cheery mood.
Different, but
To me, it seemed like a special holiday, and Ika dubbed it Thank Goodness Day, a celebration of John and Christy's recovery from COVID. We had a monstrous fried dinner, a blind tasting with 3 kinds of salmon and halibut and cod, along with the newly harvested potatoes, breaded and fried vegetables. What a decadent dinner. At the end of the night, Ika remarked we had only 4 more dinners together to look forward to. A sobering thought. On Monday, the guys began cutting the lower end of the first beam to fit over the crossbeam.
Oh well, that doesn't.
Now for the other end.
I don't know.
I'll move out of the way though.
Yeehaw.
With the chainsaw, it may be difficult. And if it decides to twist and fall on you, then it's.
Then the second beam. Our meal that night was leftover fried salmon bathed in homemade General Tso sauce and stir-fried garden vegetables. Tuesday, the guys began laying the planks. John and Christy replaced the beams on the first section earlier this year, and now the second section is taken care of. Too bad there were no beams long enough to replace the third section. That will have to wait for another time. The smoker was cleaned and hauled back to its storage spot at the woodshed. The plants in the hothouse were burned by the hard frost. All reminders our time was drawing to a close. Christy and I split some more wood, with Christy doing the heavy lifting. Now there is a good start on the winter wood supply. It was Tuesday afternoon when Marty messaged the Tustamina would not be running on Friday and offered to come get us the next day. It was a real downer for everyone, as we had been counting on the Tusty to get us to town on Friday for our flight out on Saturday.
Well, it depends.
We discussed our options. With the deteriorating weather, we decided the seas would be too rough to chance coming in on the skiff on Friday, and decided to accept Marty's generous offer to come get us. It was a heartbreaking realization for all of us that it was our last dinner together, and especially poignant that our short time together would be unexpectedly cut even shorter. Early on departure day, Lee used one of the COVID home tests that Ika brought. We thought Lee was a good representative to test because he had worked the closest with John. Negative. No further excuses to delay our departure. Marty and Seabreeze arrived in time for lunch, and conversation revolved around when we would all see each other. Maybe this winter in Mexico. Maybe next summer. Nothing concrete, too many variables involving distance and uncertainties. It was hard to keep the tears from flowing as we saw the last of John and Christy and Sailboat Cove. Join us next time. Will we be able to leave Kodiak as planned, or will we be delayed again like last time? So, until then.